I'm joined by Mike Jones, and this is an important day. Mike?
Yes, it is. It's an
Not
important day.
only
Yes,
because Mike
today is
Jones is here.
December 8th,
Yes. Well, you
and which
remember
means it's,
December 8th.
a little less than 20 days till Christmas.
Yes, right. Until our anniversary of this show. Um,
Yes,
you
right.
remember August 7, 2014. You may not remember the date, but you do remember when we showed you the video right away of Keith Eck in the little back room. And he kicked off. He was the initiator. It was commissioner initiated levy. He had called upon a staff member, Jim Goodwin. Jim Goodwin is a city councilor. And he had called on Jim Goodwin, a county worker, to drop some numbers to hand over to SOS and cuffs so the commissioners could pretend that it was citizen initiated when really it was commissioner initiated levy. We've gotten in
Right. Yes, I remember that.
we've gotten in a bit of trouble since then when Keith Eck likes to pretend that that meeting never happened. He's a couple of times come a little unglued, hasn't he, Mike?
Um, yeah, I mean, he never will cop to the idea that he had any that he had any part in the initiation of that at all.
He points out, you're laughing, and I'm telling you we had nothing to do with it. And the reason the people in the audience are laughing is because they, like you, have seen the video. Well, you laugh again, and I'll eject you from this room. Really? Are those the new rules? And what, we don't have it in our lap? You know, that's crazy. And we've seen the video, Keith. I pointed this out in a couple of meetings. The reason people are laughing is because they've seen the video, and they still say it. They say it to this day. Keith Eck does. Well, we were not involved. Well, it just happened again. This time for Levy 2016. It's unbelievable. This day will be as infamous. Not as infamous as yesterday. Stop it. It's
Yes.
This day will be as infamous as August 7 of last year was, except this is December 8. So hang on to your seats. This is going to be a bumpy ride. Here's Sherwalker's new plan kicking off Levy 2016. Go ahead, Mike.
Good. Okay. Anything else?
One more thing.
Yep.
I put this on there was something that I would like to propose. I know we've tried so many things, and I know Commissioner Heck has said he wasn't going to support any more levies, but there's one thing we have not tried.
There's one thing they have not tried, Mike. What is that one thing they really haven't tried?
Magic beans.
Maybe, how about no levy?
Yes.
They haven't tried that one. There's one thing they haven't tried. Don't you know it's a new levy? Now, what is that? What are they talking about in the little back room? Now, first of all, this was not on the agenda. Now, maybe Sandy Casanelli and I are the only ones that are going, not on the agenda. I don't know. But we turned them into the state because they're not supposed to talk about major issues, and the next levy is a major issue unless it's on the agenda. She said at the beginning, well, we put this on there. No, she did not put anything on there. There's nothing on there except the commissioners are looking at their paper where it is on there. It wasn't supplied for the people, so we don't know that that's what they were going to talk about. After this meeting, I talked with Eder Campuzano. He's the new reporter over at the Courier. I said, did you notice that wasn't on the agenda? I said, well, no. And I said, Eder, they're in trouble with the state, and they're supposed to put on there what they're going to talk about, and they didn't. Oh, okay, he's a nice guy, but Eder, they're supposed to tell us what they're talking about. Didn't bother. Okay, a little bit more. It's interesting to me.
Now, I just want to let you know I'm not getting all of what you say, and I haven't gotten all of what you have said pretty much from the beginning of the show.
Oh,
I'm
sorry.
getting pieces of it, and it's not your fault. This is, internet vagrants again. And so it just is what it is. So I'm fairly sure that I heard you give me the cue for the video last time. That's why I played it. But I don't know if you've done it again. So what is that?
This is play the next one.
Oh, okay. Wow. I'm used to that meaning something different. Yes.
And this is one that I've been out talking to a lot of people, and they said, well, why don't you just put it out there, like one thing, where people can vote on each function.
Each function.
Right. Well, people are talking to her, Mike.
Is she talking about bodily functions? Or?
Yeah, the people are talking to her. They're stopping her in the shopping market, and they're saying, Cheryl, we're begging you, no voters pamphlet, and please put more levies on the ballot, please, please.
Yes, right, exactly. The yes, okay. Here we go.
So there'll be one for jail, one for deputies, one for juvenile, one for DA, and it's a separate measure for each one with a dollar value attached to it. So many cents per thousand, and that way people choose. Okay, the jail's important to me, and so the juvenile. They don't have to vote for all of them. They vote for their choice. It's like a smorgasbord or a menu item type of thing.
You know what? I got to tell you something. This sounds strangely familiar to me. I don't know if you were in Josephine County politics a little bit earlier and you saw what was being said and then the conversation that I was involved in. But it sounds strangely familiar to this, and it's almost as though somebody is a mole trying to figure out what they can get us to buy into so that they can, foist a levy on us and have it be successful this time.
Would you like
that bothers me even more than Cheryl's moronic, movement here.
Would you like to reveal who that was that said it?
I'm sorry?
Would you like to reveal who it was that said it on Facebook?
Oh, Dale loves it when you name names. Nah, I'm gonna let it sit there for a little bit. We'll let this person dig their own grave.
Well,
Dale wants to immediately nuke everybody on his friends list, and I'm a little more subtle than that.
Okay, if you're going to be for a levy, you're not on my friends list, okay? Because we've voted so many times saying what we want. Well, here's something we haven't tried. Why, let's have 4 little levies. Sounds like Tony Webb to me. Yeah. Let's have a 99-cent levy. No, thanks. Well, I know. Look, will you go to bed with me? No. No means no. Well, will you go to bed with me? No. No means no. Will you have sex with me? No. No means no. Will you have carnal knowledge of me? No. No means no. Well, how about having carnal knowledge with 4 of my friends? No. No means no. They don't get it.
Yes. Yeah. Well, you know what though? They do get it. There's 2 things going on here. They're trying to wear us down.
Yeah, like
because each time they're going to try to, and of course we'll be demonized on the other side. So they're going to try and shame us into their way of thinking. And somehow that's going to make me want to be on your side if you think I'm a horrible person. Yeah, that it never works for me. And you know what? It obviously works for a lot of people because, the Democratic Party has been very successful using that tactic. But I don't think it's going to work around here because, you know what? That works on people that have discretionary income that perhaps they can spend on some taxes. The people around here don't have the discretionary income. Now, you keep taking things out of order here. Why don't you try to do what you can to foster a good economy in this area? Instead of just thinking about your own little microeconomy inside your own little microclimate, which is government. That's what you're thinking. You want, I want things to be good for me, but I'm going to sell it to them like it's good for them. And the sad part about that is that just makes you a liar.
Well, Mike.
So who should be feeling the shame?
This is so totally different. Do you realize that the reason this is so totally different, instead of one big levy, this is 4 little levies? That's so different. Think of outside of the box thinking here.
Oh, that's amazing. No, you know what's funny is last year during the levy push, Dale and I played some videos, and you could have sworn that these were new commercials for the current campaign, because one of their taglines is, "This levy is totally different than any levy we've ever seen before here." But it turns out the commercials that we were playing were for the previous year. They were saying the same exact thing. Oh, yeah, there's never been a levy like this before. It's totally different than it ever has been. So remember those prejudices that you had against levies? You can just put all those aside, because this one's totally different.
Well, now we're going to get a chance to hear, and after a little bit more sales work from Cheryl, and probably from Dan DeYoung, and probably from Mayor Fowler, we get to hear her sell this a bit more to the other commissioners. Then we get to hear what they say. Because shouldn't they be saying right now, Cheryl, stop it. We've already said in public we're not going to do this. What are you doing? Give this up. Stop it, Cheryl. And what they're going to say tomorrow, when I bring this up and say, we saw you and we had it on our show last night, they're going to say, you're trying to stop us, and we barely started. Why, my gosh, these are just draft plans, D-R-A-F-T. They're just plans don't mean anything. Just because we're having plans for your future doesn't mean that anything's going to happen. You should only complain when you're actually paying the tax. Anything before that is just a draft plan.
Yeah. Yes. Thanks for the cue, Dale.
We've never tried it before, and this is something that I'm hearing more and more out there. They said, we can't afford the whole enchilada, so to speak, but we can afford a couple of them.
A little side dish, some beans and rice, as it were.
Now, wait a minute. A minute ago, she said it was a smorgasbord, which sounds like some kind of European plan, which fits right in with Cheryl. And now it's an enchilada. From the southern part of Norway. We've never tried this before, but people are begging Cheryl. They're begging her. Cheryl, please, please, would you please do this for the Rotary Club? People are stupid, Cheryl. And if you introduce the idea of having 4 of these, they're going to say, "Oh, I like that idea." And like Tony Webb, 99 cents, that's not much. You can afford 99 cents. Why, it's only your children's education. I mean, a cup of coffee. And so you definitely can afford this. It's just a chance to get that little tax in there. I mean, it's, no, think of the children.
Unfortunately, there again, not much of that. So here's more video.
That may not be ideal for us, but I've come to the conclusion that something's better than nothing, which is what we have right now is nothing, and not getting better. So I asked the information from finance as to what it was in fiscal year 11 and 12, which was kind of like the last time we had any.
Oh,
Any.
They got information. The reason I wanted to stop it there is they got information from finance. Oh, really? Now, before, it was Keith Heck and Jim Goodwin who was compiling the information so they could pass it on to SOS and pretend like a citizen initiated, paid for by your money. This time, it's Cheryl. It's having finance look up these past numbers and cook this stuff up for them. Look, who's in charge of SOS? It's the finance director of the city.
Listen, it's yes, of course.
And so, and when they were dropping off the petitions to put this on the ballot, where did Connie Roach suggest they drop off the petitions? Mike can't hear all what I'm saying.
I think you're asking me about Connie. Yeah, it's horrible.
Sorry,
I think you're asking me about Connie Roach and the dropping off of the petitions at her office in the county building there. And you did mention something about SOS and what the origins of SOS are. Listen, the core people in SOS, Dale probably just said this, but I'm going to say it again. The core people in SOS, they're county employees, they're city employees, they're government insiders is what they are, and they have some useful idiots that are working for them. And your rank and file of the general population that think that they're doing a good thing, and they don't really realize they're just being used by these government employees. Unfortunately.
Well, the inside staffer last time was Jim Goodwin, who works for the city, works for the county, and is a city councilor. The insider this time is Arthur O'Hare, who's the finance director, and he's doing Cheryl's bidding. They are spending your tax dollars to try to raise your taxes. And this is Cheryl's plan.
Yeah, not nice. Yeah, you know what? Listen, I was watching this this video last night, and I always get sucked into this one gal because the way that she teaches about the Constitution is like a preacher in a church. And so she goes on, you get sucked into this sermon, you end up learning a whole lot. But she was talking about the nature of government and how it always has, oh God, and if I can just remember the quote, I'll come up with it here in a second. But this is exactly what she was talking about when she was saying that government always falls into the same design where they go, well, how can we get around, the restrictions that are normally upon us and take advantage of the citizenry and get more of their money or whatever benefits for us. This is the repetitive thing. And if you don't pay attention to history, you're condemned to repeat its mistakes over and over. And
be sure of what you're seeing here, everybody.
That's kind of where we're at.
You're watching today. This is from today. I was there. You're watching the kickoff of Levy 2016 that's commissioner initiated. Now, they're going to swear up and down, and Keith Eck is going to have a cow. We never did it. That's not true. Nothing is true in this life. We just saw this. This is her plan. But you haven't heard what Simon Hare says and what Keith Eck says. We're getting there. Go ahead, Mike.
Okay.
As to what it was in fiscal year 11 and 12, which was kind of like the last time we had any full funding, and I've asked him getting this year's on comparison.
It wasn't, let's just be clear, that was not full
That was not full. I said closest to full funding that we had.
No, she didn't.
Yeah.
She did not say closest to full funding. She just said it was not full fund. Oh, I said closest. She can't even tell the truth to her own commissioner. She did not say that. Let's see the next clip and you'll see what I mean. Go ahead, Mike. Go ahead.
The information from finance as to what it was in fiscal year 11 and 12, which was kind of like the last time we had any full funding, and I've asked him getting this year's on comparison.
It wasn't, let's just be clear, that was not full
That was
funding.
not full. I said closest to full funding that we had. The most recent that was closest to full funding. It was not full funding, by the way. I know that.
Ha ha! I know that.
Yes.
No, she doesn't. And she's not telling the truth. She's sitting right there, and by now nobody believes her when she says, "Yes, I was thinking exactly that." Oh, that's exactly what I just said. It's not a joke to her. We do it with each other sometimes as a joke. Oh no, I meant the opposite. No, she means it. Oh, that's what I said. No, you didn't. Yeah, it's a lifelong habit. She can't help it. It's just not part of who she is to just tell the truth even when you're sitting there 2 feet away from her. Not possible. Go ahead, Mike. We might hear that one more time. It's a little repetitive. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. And before I go, before I do this, what I was thinking of, this has to do with the the evolution of the Constitution from the beginning over in England, and it is the Grand Remonstrance of 1641, where they cited a malicious, pernicious design in government that's repetitive, that they keep having to deal with. This is the malicious, pernicious design.
Wow.
That keeps rearing its ugly head here in local government, as well as governments all over the world. And now for your video.
Wow.
That was the last time that we had anything that was close to the funding in the recent last number of years.
It's a good goal. That would
It's
be
a
a
good
great
goal.
place to be.
And that's where we start. That's where we would start. And I can put together some numbers if you think that this would be something that we could put out as a board for people to actually act on what they're telling me out there, that we can't afford it all, but I can pay something less to get some of it. And of course, then that would definitely help us bridge this situation that we're running up against, where we probably will not have secure schools funding after eclipse.
Yeah, you know what's funny is that all of a sudden she realizes that she's giving this speech to nobody, because Simon and Keith are both trying to hey, you know what? This is not going on here. I'm not in the room with this conversation. Somebody's trying to suck me into this conversation. I don't want to be a part of your conversation. Did you realize that, Cheryl? And Simon is giving the glance over at the camera. He knows that this is going to be on tonight's show. He just knows it.
And he keeps moving farther. If you notice, he keeps moving farther and farther away. Keith, too. They're way out here, and she's in the middle, and they're trying to get back physically. They don't even realize they're doing it. I've seen them do it 1,000 times. Yeah. They'll just get as far away as they can. There was one time where Simon's chair was up against the wall.
Yeah. No, yeah, this is just body language playing out. This is interesting because it's obvious that last week's city council meeting had a deep impression on Cheryl Walker, as they were fawning all over her and telling her, that if you don't get this done during your tenure here, we're going to be lost. There's just no way that we'll be able to go on anymore if you don't deliver for us, Cheryl Walker. And so she took up the torch and is jogging on down the road with it here.
And it was not Darren Fowler, was that other guy, the president of the city council, who was all over her. Well, I agree with all of what you say. And she's talking back, well, I sure like you. Well, you're my favorite. No, I really like you, Dan DeYoung. And just, hey, guys, get a room. I mean, it was they were all over each other. I think that they see each other perhaps as running mates on this thing, if he decides to go toward county commissioner. And at the very least, it would be marching in lockstep with these blind people at the city council who thinks that nobody had any good arguments. Nobody wants law enforcement. We're all lunkheads. 80% of the voters are lunkheads. Well, here you go. This is the result of that. Now, notice that Keith is kind of grunting along with this, but Simon said, well, but that's a good goal. Thank you, Simon. It's a good goal. So Cheryl feels empowered. She wants them to put it on the ballot. She wants them to put it on the ballot. The commissioners, because if you hand it over to SOS or Cuffs or whatever they call themselves this week, they're going to have to gather up a bunch of signatures, and it'll be hard to get that on, are you ready for it? The May ballot.
Mm-hmm. Well, and this has been the strategy for some time now, the May ballot, because the May ballot, they happen to know that less people turn out for the May ballot. They know that the 2016 election is going to be big time attendance, and they don't want it in the November ballot because they know it would lose big time. Anyway, I think you gave me the play cue, so that's what I'm going to do right now.
Why would this not be one of those wonderful opportunities for citizens groups, whether it's SOS or that kind, to work a citizen initiative with these kinds of stipulations?
Make the May ballot?
Yeah.
Well, there you go,
right,
Mike.
because that would totally absolve you from any involvement in it.
This is exactly what they did last time. They worked up the figures, they handed them over to Cuffs and SOS, and then they said, see, citizen initiated. Woohoo!
No, listen, how is that any different from actually initiating it yourself? You're not doing any more work. You're just having somebody do it as your proxy. That's all that's going on there. That's the only difference, between, hey, Arthur, can you come up with the numbers to justify us doing a levy? And then they launch it. Or, hey, Arthur, will you come and justify the numbers so that we can hand it to them and have them launch it? What is the difference between those two things? It's one more step. That's all it is.
Yeah, but and
the guy who's got his name stamped on it.
He has implausible deniability. You watch what happens tomorrow. I'll make the prediction already. Keith Heck is going to go nuts. We're not involved in any way in any of this. Yes, you were. No, he's going to interrupt me. We're not involved. And besides, even if we were involved, really, then, it's only in its initial stages. You're initiating this. Well, it's a draft, right. DRAFT. What's the matter with you? Don't you understand DRAFT? Uh-huh.
Well, and he could, just to give the guy an out here, he could have said, that I'm not involved in this at all, had he not given the input of like, wouldn't this be good for SOS? Or, wouldn't you like to be looking at the November ballot as opposed to the May ballot? Once you make those statements, it's just like you were in the room when you were in an illegal executive session and you didn't get up and walk out.
That's correct.
What you should have said when Cheryl was putting this stuff forward is say, hey, no, Cheryl, thanks for your little fantasy. Keep it to yourself. I'm not having any today. Thank you. That's how you sidestep that issue.
What we're watching here is a strategy session. This is definite. We're watching a strategy session for passing the next levy. Whether they hand it over to somebody else or not makes no difference. This is where the strategy is. And this strategy, the details for the strategy, were paid for by your tax dollars. Not just Cheryl's salary and the other two, but also Arthur O'Hare and the finance department. They're using your tax dollars to try to raise your taxes. And then they're going to try to say that it was someone else's idea. This is false. We're announcing it here. Will this be in the Courier tomorrow? Probably not. But you were right there at the very beginning. You watch, there's going to be hell to pay. Brother, they're going to try to take me apart tomorrow when I get up at the weekly business session and I say, you're doing the same thing now that you did a year. No, we're not. No, we didn't talk about that. They could call in Wally Hicks and he could swear on a law book and a Bible that they didn't say this at all and that what we're watching here never happened. So.
Is the May ballot the best ballot?
No, I think it should be the November ballot. Generally,
you want to think about that. I don't think that it is. If I were going to do it, I wouldn't pay anything.
It's a strategy session. It's a strategy session. They're talking about which ballot to put it on. Shouldn't they be saying don't put it on the ballot at all? Keith Heck, well, I'm not going to be backing this kind of thing. Well, I'm not going to be behind any of this. Well, I'm not planning any of this. But I agree with Simon, and November ballot would be. This is strategy.
Yeah, of course.
They finally got their.
They're discussing what would be best.
Yeah, they finally got their transparency, courtesy of Mike and I. They're liars and cheaters.
Yes.
Okay. You're getting some strange sound here, Mike, but go ahead, bud.
Yeah, okay.
The killers have arrived at Mike's house.
I think the May ballot is if it passes, or whatever would pass in May, it could be billed on the taxes in November. If it goes on the November ballot, 2016, it can't be billed until November 2017.
Right. You can build a budget in 17 for unexpected revenue. 16, 17 can be built for unexpected revenue in 17. Just bridge it. So.
Mike, they're already talking about
Bridges.
building. They're already talking about building a budget around this.
Yeah, right. Yeah, this is an amazing thing. And so now I can't help but be thinking about what strategies are they going to hit us with, considering how we battled the situation last year. How are they they're going to go, okay, we're obviously going to have to be dealing with these guys again. So how are we going to do that? You know, I can see them, trying to figure that out. So,
well, we're not going to have
this is going to be interesting.
We're not going to have time for a bunch of other stuff we were going to show tonight because we're breaking this news for you now. But let's think about a couple of things they're going to do. One is, this is totally and absolutely completely different than anything that you've ever seen before. But they're going to have to deal with their own arguments, which is that if you're going to break this up into its component parts, so each of them is easily, I mean, if you're going to give somebody some excrement for breakfast, well, you give it to them in little pieces, not the whole thing, right? And so just here, you don't mind eating a little excrement, do you? No, I don't want any. Yeah, this is just a little bit. Look, there's just 4 little spoonfuls. I don't want any. No means no. No doesn't mean no. No means this is just a draft plan with excrement on it. Come on now.
Yeah,
no
that's right.
Means
yeah.
No. We always win.
It won't taste anywhere near as bad as this.
That's right. That's right. And the other thing where they're going to have to battle themselves, and this makes no sense, is if you, according to their arguments, if you fund the sheriff, but you don't fund the DA and juvenile justice, you're up a creek. If you fund juvenile justice, but you don't fund the sheriff and the DA, then you're up a creek. If you fund the DA, you get the point. Well, because there's a tripod. It's a tripod that could fall over and burst into flames. Okay, so that's a little inside joke for those who watch our show a lot. So look, here's the thing. If it's a tripod, then what are you going to do if somebody says, well, I'm going to vote for rural patrols? Oh, shoot. Now we don't have any DA people to deal with this. It's all combined, right? So they're going to fight against themselves? How much money are they going to spend on this one? Mike, what are they doing? Mike, what are they doing?
I think you just asked me what they're doing. What are they doing? Yeah. The same thing they always do. This is just what it is. I thought for sure after the shellacking that they took last year that they were going to relent and not do this again. It's obvious that they just cannot. They just have to do this. This is how they are. They have to do it. And, if they don't do it, they, would, break out in a rash or something. Unfortunately, we have to fight this battle every year. And believe me, it does take a lot out of you, but I'm down with it. If they want to try this again, I'm just thinking it's going to be very difficult for them. They're going to have to come up with something new to battle against us because the logic that we're coming at this with defeats their emotions so completely that this is going to be a hard one for them. And I hope that we can rope somebody into spending a whole lot of money against us again, so that we can take all their money and flush it down a toilet.
Yeah, okay, that's another way of putting it. I think that they should spend their children's inheritance and mortgage their homes. And so, well, it's a big thing. But yeah, flushing it down the toilet, I like that analogy. Look, Keith Heck will say, but I've said at the city council meeting and in numerous commissioners meetings that I am never going to back this. I'm not for it. I'm not backing it. I told you, aren't you listening? Well, what did he just say? Let's turn it over to Cuffs or SOS and they'll do it. No, Keith, if you're true to your word, if such a thing existed for you, you'd say, Cheryl, no, I have promised the people I'm not going to do this. Simon has said to the people, I'm not going to do this. You just do whatever you want to, Cheryl, but this is a non-starter. I'm moving my chair further away from you, and I mean it. No, no. As soon as he said, turn it over to SOS, he's involved. As soon as Simon said, well, this could be a good, and when Simon's talking about when to introduce it to the ballot, he's in.
Well, and also, as soon as county resources in terms of county labor is used to generate something, and then it's going to be suggested to somebody else. The initiation took place when you suggested that person generates something for that purpose, not when you hand it off to somebody else to do it. You know, I mean, that seems fairly obvious, but that is how it works.
But Mike Jones, if you continue to say that kind of thing at this meeting, both you and Mr. Matthews will be escorted from this room because I'm telling you the truth. I'm the only source of the truth, and you're laughing at me just because you've seen some kind of stupid video where we said exactly the opposite and exactly the opposite. And let's see, but we never said it. And Wally Hicks will back us up that we never said this and that report that you just gave. Why, that's been doctored. Good luck with that argument.
Right. Silly. Well, I hope that this show is going to turn out on the internet a lot better than it's looking like at my house, because I'm sure that what was said was very intelligent and contiguous, but at my house, it's like trying to watch a video on dial-up.
Well, for an intelligent and contiguous goodbye, I guess I'm the guy.